A glorious day at Virginia International Raceway on the Virginia-North Carolina border. It is time for Blancpain GT World Challenge America, round number 3 of the 2019 championship chase here at Virginia International Raceway, presented by Henry Repeating Arms. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish and Ryan Marine, and we are ready to get after it here. It's an absolutely beautiful day after a wet afternoon yesterday. And so we are going to be putting this one into the books, and obviously this is a new era in the 30th season of what used to be Pirelli World Challenge, 30th consecutive uninterrupted season of racing, but with a very much a new look, now part of the Blancpain GT World Challenge. This, the American part of the three-continent battle, if you will. And Cal, obviously some changes in terms of the format this year, both in terms of race length and the pit stops.
Yeah, it's a 90-minute event now with a mandatory pit stop between the 40-minute mark of this race and 50-minute mark. That means at the 40-minute mark, you cannot hit pit lane. You can provide service, but in terms of the mandatory stop, it has to happen after that. And then if you leave it late in the going, you've got to be on pit lane by the 50-minute mark in the race. During the pit stop, minimum time down pit lane is 60 seconds. That includes traversing down the pit lane, doing the service. The service is 4 tire change mandatory driver change, and fuel is going on board as well. So it's pretty tight. It's not like there's a big margin for error there or not executing correctly. Otherwise, you're going to give up time to other teams up and down pit lane. But it's been certainly exciting. The opening 2 rounds at Coda certainly gave us some great action. Everyone seems to be up and in the mix. Bentleys look very strong here. They tested well. It's a good track for the Bentleys, so they could be tough to beat. But looking at the qualifying this morning, there's some other big boys there in the hunt as well.
Well, and I mean that lap that Pat Long put in one of the qualifying sessions to get up and split the Bentleys, he admitted, he said, I was on the absolute edge, but we needed to do something. In the second qualifying session, we saw a late lap from Tony Vielander that showed some great speed in that red R Ferry Ferrari.
3 minutes.
It starts this one back in the 4th spot, but we know that car's got speed. This is going to be, I think, very exciting. And then as you would expect, the 2 Allegra Motorsports Porsches, solid. Last year's pole sitter, Daniel Morad, sitting in that 5th spot. And he showed himself to be very racy at Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, he certainly did, and this is a great racetrack for Daniel Morad. He sort of like his coming out party was here a couple of years ago when he grabbed the lead and had Jerome Bleekemolen in an identical Mercedes AMG car put the pressure on, and he withstood that pressure, went on to take victory that weekend with Ryan Dial for CRP Racing. So he knows the racetrack well. So many strong cars here, and I think the fact that the Bentley swept both poles here this morning is maybe not a true indicator. They tested here, they had the setup. Yesterday's one and only day of track action was disjointed with the rain, so didn't allow some of the other teams to play catch up, but they've got more track time now with the qualifying runs this morning. They had been tweaking on these race cars, and maybe they'll be a little bit closer in green flag action here this afternoon.
And I think in the Pro-Am category, one of the great stories of the weekend as far as the performance by Anthony Imperato in the Wright Motorsports Henry Repeating Arms Porsche, the number 91, missed the one dry session essentially yesterday with a huge aero imbalance. I think it was a delaminating splitter. Second session was a washout. They just got more laps for Matt Campbell. Imperato comes out in this in the first session, puts it on the Pro-Am pole. Remarkable comeback, and obviously that Wright Motorsports team executing, but Imperato, what a drive.
It was, because they tested here a couple of weeks ago, and he had a big off, destroyed the chassis. They had to rebuild that, and then when they got here, they had the repair splitter put on the front of that car. It wasn't working correctly, had a big vibration, so they had to abort the first practice session. Then it was rained out in the afternoon, so a great rebound and a great recovery for that whole group.
That's how you reward a crew, isn't it, when you have some sort of an issue like that.
1 minute.
As you hear the call from Race Control, 1 minute in the AM category. After a great early run by Brian Kaminsky in the 111 competition Ferrari, it was the number 7 Squadra Corsa Ferrari in the hands of Cesar Baccarella that put it on pole in the AM category, and keeping their hopes alive for a little bit of Havana rum money at the end of the year. We'll talk more about that as the race unfolds. Got some great onboards for you. One of them is from this car, Pat Long in the number 58 Porsche Consulting Wright Motorsports Porsche, who put in a simply brilliant lap right near the end of qualifying to split those 2 Bentleys. And the Bentleys have looked strong. Alvaro Parent has made the comment about it. He said, I love the old car. This one's even better, and we're liking it. And there's the word. The engine's coming to life on the pre-grid in pit lane. what a field this is. 17 GT3 machines. Amazingly talented drivers behind the wheel from around the world. Factory drivers from a number of the marques. You also have some of the best teams globally. We are getting ready to go. And we talk about Pat Long, and you saw that onboard look. Well, he is going to give us a look around this remarkable chat with Pat Long.
Hi, welcome to Virginia International Raceway. I'm Patrick Long, driver of the 58 Wright Motorsports GT3R, and this is your Porsche track preview. Turn 1, very dicey on the start. It's tempting to try and stick it around the outside, but as you see at the exit, it narrows up, makes it very difficult to go side by side here. You're watching your traction. You don't want to tear up your tires at the exit of turn 1. It's very easy to get over ambitious. Turn 2 is flat out, but turn 3, as you see, is where all the apex and exit count. Turn 4, another opportunity for overtaking. It's very tight. You see we're using all of these curbs. There's sort of a light piece of curb and then a colored chevron, if you will, of yellow and green. For the drivers, it's using every single piece of given hard surface. Exit of turn 6, up to 5th gear, approaching the S's. This is about 150 miles an hour, wide open throttle. You have to be picture perfect with your apexes, but no lift of the throttle. Takes a little bit of confidence in the beginning. Turn 10, completely blind as you turn in. You're to throttle before you see the edge of the racetrack. It's daunting. If you get it wrong here, you're going to pay the price and the day is over. This is Oak Tree, slowest section, 50 miles an hour. Patient on the throttle. You need a good run out of here. Again, using all of the racetrack, multiple surfaces, but it's all about getting a run onto the longest section of the racetrack. Back straightaway, top gear, 6th gear, 160 miles an hour. You fade from left to right. It's tight to go through here 2x2, but you'll see drivers attempt it. Bottom of 2nd gear again, patience, keep that traction underneath. You can see I'm fighting the steering wheel as I head down into the final section, the hog pen, which is turns 16 and 17. Again, all over the curbs, early throttle as we shoot back onto the front straightaway. If you get a good run out of this 16 section, you can set your pass up for turn 1. It goes by quick, lots of curb usage. Drivers love this racetrack, but it's tough to pass on. And that's your Porsche track preview. Thanks for riding along.
He says drivers like this racetrack, Cal. It's old school. It's a place where a driver can make a difference.
What
he
a
did.
lap
In that,
that
oh, isn't that unreal?
That was sensational, just how brutal and how physical you have to be with that race car to get the lap time and wring its neck. That was brilliant stuff.
Bounding over the curbs through the climbing S's, and he says about 150 miles an hour. It's like, okay. Yeah, this place is special. I mean, Paul Newman made the comment many years ago, if there truly is a heaven on earth, it must be VIR. There's a good reason for that. 90 minutes. Round 3, Blancpain GT World Challenge America. About to unfold. The Bentleys come in with a strong start to the season, although the top 4 drivers from the 2 different teams tied in the points. It's that close.
6 drivers within 1 point. It's game on as early in the championship. Every point counts.
All right, here we go. Parent leading the field up, Long alongside. Looking really good, and green flag flies. We are racing at VIR.
Molina there in the red Ferrari tried to juke and make a move. Just got stacked up a little bit, tried to make the move. But it looks like Parent has got a nice clean lead there. But look at this, the battle through turn 1 is intense.
Great onboard look backwards. That is Molina in the Ferrari. Right behind him, the 22 of Morad in the Allegra car. Feeling some pressure. I think that's Imperato trying to work around the outside. Did he get through on Hensler? That would be a great start.
Yeah, that was tight. Molina all over the tail of Baptista right now as the Bentley settles in. Through the snake. Pat Long alluded to about 150 miles an hour. Once you get that tire temp and pressure up, you're going to be flat out through there.
And here's turn 10. He talked about you have to go to the throttle before you even see the exit of this turn. And now up into Oak Tree.
Oh, look at that. Parent swings out a little bit wide there. Couldn't pick up the grip on the exit of 10. Pat Long is even closer. Bentley has really strong straightaway speed here, though, but he's tucked into the draft.
Problem for Imperato.
Oh,
something went wrong, and he is really slow.
Cut a tire.
He may have. He ran wide over that curb, Cal.
On the right rear.
Meanwhile, here we go, down into the roller coaster.
Really rolling speed. What sort of tire pressure setup did they go with? Are they trying to attack on Parenti? He looks to the inside, nowhere to go. Great battle up front.
That looked very Rockefeller in the Alex Joe Porsche in the Grand Am many years ago here.
It did.
A pass you can't make, and they did it, and he was thinking about it.
Until Bechtolsheimer may have the lead in the Pro-Am class with the Gradient Racing NSX.
He does. You're right. Askew second in the number 63.
Morad down to the inside. Puts the big squeeze on Molina and takes the position.
This is a place that Daniel Morad, I
He
think
loves it.
He does. It was his, as you put it, his breakout party here a couple of years ago. Pole here last year.
Hensler in the other Allegra car trying to follow suit on the Ferrari. The Ferrari is not going up to speed quickly, but we know it is good on the long green flag runs. Baptista closing in on the leaders.
Well, Bechtolsheimer made that move, as you said, and now it looks as though I think Askew might be in trouble and Curtis might be through to second in the real-time racing Acura.
All they have is a little shakedown behind them to come out of the box and be so strong here today. Very impressive performance by that group. Oh, big sideways lurch there off of Oak Tree for Baptista. There's that move by Morad. That's in replay on Molina down into turn one.
That was just fabulous. Ooh, and somebody went off behind everybody. I wonder if that may not have been Askew.
Would have been.
He was second behind Bechtolsheimer as they came through the line, and then I noticed a bit later that Curtis looked to have picked up that second spot. Boy, Long down through the roller coaster is really strong in the Porsche. Loses a little bit once they get down into Hogpen, it looks like.
Yeah, it looked like he washed wide there a little bit. So ran a slightly wider radius through there. Didn't look like he was losing balance, but just couldn't quite pin the nose. Probably in the aero wash from that Bentley up in front. That's a big silhouette of a race car to try and follow in terms of getting the air on the front splitter.
And indeed, Askew now, as they complete the lap and timing catches up, is dropping down the order. It's Curtis up into second in the real-time Acura, then Barkey in the Racer's Edge, MBRP. Oh, in a moment there, that's one of the 111 competition cars. Trying to pick up what the number might be. It might be the 19 at Kaminsky. And I don't know whether he just went around on his own or got some help.
Like there were three Ferraris all together.
And that was Baccarella, who was down to the inside.
Like the 19 was slow, though. I'm not sure if he is having an issue, and Cesar had nowhere to go with it.
Kaminsky's so close to getting it fired up and going again.
Yeah. Curious to see if he had an issue or whether he just got parked to the outside in the shuffle down into the brake zone, but.
And gathers it up and allows us to stay green. Right now, Morad, fast lap of the race, Cal, at a 46 flat. Early going.
Obviously, it's individuals qualifying sessions for the races now, so doesn't have the significance of a grid position for tomorrow, but nonetheless, certainly displaying great pace. Can he catch Baptista? He's closing the gap.
He is.
As we said, the Bentleys tested here. They looked awfully strong in qualifying, but we expected some of the rest of the pack to come galloping back at them.
Boy, Martin Barkey is attacking on Brett Curtis right now for the second spot in the AM class behind this blue, white, and black Gradient Racing Acura NSX in the hands of the
incident between car 7 and car 19 in turn 1 under review.
Till Bechtolsheimer.
Really nice man. Loves his racing, does a lot of historic racing Europe, but he knows this racetrack. Ran here a couple of years ago. Super impressive. He gets up on the wheel, was fastest in the wet practice session yesterday. Not everyone went out or didn't. that many laps, but nonetheless, he was certainly very comfortable.
Murad now within a couple of car lengths of Baptista. The white 22 Porsche, that is Long in the 58 Porsche Consulting Wright Motorsports engine. Right behind that duo, you can see there is Baptista. So we hop on board with Pat Long. Long run down the back straight here.
Even in the draft, Long is about 3K shy of that Bentley up in front.
Incident between car 19 and car 7 in turn 1. No further action.
And you heard that from our race director. No further action on that incident. I think that exactly what you were talking about was that looks like Kaminsky may have had a momentary issue. Baccarella just turned to the inside.
Had nowhere to go, and I like the immediacy of the call. They certainly want to make it correct and explore it thoroughly, but just move on. Surprised that Baptista is backing up a little bit to this group.
Yeah, the duo up front certainly easing away here.
Baptista and Soule won one of the races here last year when Baptista was still graded as an AM. That was a mistake.
Yeah, well, like Morad, you know, Morad 2 years ago was his breakout party. I think last year here was Baptista's announcement to the world that, yeah, I may have been underrated here.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
What a talent he is.
Truly. Looking back at Murad through the snake, now up in these S's. This should be fun.
Just hear the engine note. It doesn't change.
No.
No. Until you get to 10. It is flat out, and it is not easy. I was talking to Ryan Dial yesterday about driving one of these GT cars around her. He said, a lot of people said, oh yeah, they got so much downforce, the S's are easy. He said it is not easy. You have to really work up to it.
Here is Baccarella in the number 7. Currently leading in the AM category.
That Havana Cup, you get 5 sweeps, including the Vegas finale weekend, along with 7 poles, 7 fastest laps, big bonuses. I think it's 250K for GT3 class.
Absolutely.
Nice little Christmas present.
And from what we've seen from this duo of Fuentes and Baccarella, look at that, Emperado is parked. That car didn't even complete a lap.
Tell you what, if Martin Fuentes won 250K, I'd like to be along for that party. I think he knows how to enjoy it.
My goodness, yeah.
Perrin comfortable up front. Long's not letting him get away. And it could come down to the execution in pit lane. 2 of the best teams in the business. K-Pax Racing going up against Wright Motorsports. The undercut, the overcut. Who will blink first? Who will try and cut that 60-second minimum delta down to the wire? Gain that track position.
And you throw in a Allegra and our Ferry. This is sweet stuff.
Listen to the engine note here. Yeah, that lift was not a lift. That was just breakup.
Yeah, exactly. Margin now up front. Perrin and Long about 2.5 seconds clear of the battle here with Baptista. They are just stretching it out, and Perrin now looks like he has found just a little bit more of a comfort spot, although right there Long just closes it right back up.
Hensler putting the pressure on Molina for the 5th position as well, so the Porsches are running well. 3 cars up in the top 6. Eccleston doing a brilliant job leading the Pro-Am class. Like a 9-second lead almost over Brett Curtis.
When you look at his fast lap of 47.1, the rest of the AM class, they're all well into the 48s. I mean, he's wringing the neck of that Acura. Good battle for second right here. The orange and white throwback real-time colors on the real-time Acura. The hands of Brett Curtis and then Martin Barkey. And the red and white entry. There's a look at the Pro-Am standings in the race as it stands right now.
Great to see Brett here competing on US soil once again. For Turner Motorsports in sports cars over here, and had a couple of victories with BMW factory driver Jens Klingman. And did some racing with Turner and got coached by Dane Cameron, and that's how the association was formed. Then Brett was talking to P.D. Cunningham with Real Time about putting this program together and trying to select a suitable partner, and obviously Brett was very comfortable when he knew that Dane may be available through his Acura connections.
On board with Barkey. Not too far drift to Barkey, though, is George Kurtz having a solid run in the 0-4. It's the DXDT Mercedes, the CrowdStrike Amazon Web Services entry. Car, the red Mercedes right there, and then Henry Schmidt, very
That's
impressive
a great run,
isn't it?
That is really a great run for Stephen Cameron Racing.
That BMW.
Got to think what Leafouge will do with that. No disrespect, but obviously Gregory Leafouge has a lot more experience than Schmidt, so he should be pushing that car further up the order. But it's going to be all the pros jumping in during this pit stop. Colin Brown will be jumping on that CrowdStrike machine. Kyle Marcelli coming off a Pro-Am victory with Barkey, jumping aboard the Racer's Edge NSX, and Dane Cameron seeing his first race action in World Challenge competition this year aboard the 43.
I have to say, impressed with what we're seeing from George Kurtz. Remember, he had that off up at the Oak Tree corner in the qualifying session, dinged that car up a little bit. Colin Brown got behind the wheel, and it felt fine and everything, but George just has apparently compartmentalized that and is putting on a great drive as we ride with Martin Barkey in this absolutely fantastic view. Side angle shot up to the climbing S's has got to be spectacular.
This Evo kit on the NSX has really transformed this car. Had an overall pole at Coda, Pro-Am victory for the Racer's Edge team. Took the pole at the California 8 Hours IGTC race. Mario Farnbacher behind the wheel, so it's shown great pace, a lot more comfort, particularly for the amateur driver. It's not as edgy as it was, and that's what it's all about. In this form of competition, a pro can maybe hang on to it when it starts to get a little dancey in the rear end, but for your partner, you want them to be able to run good, consistent lap times as well.
Well, pretty fair evidence of what we're seeing there with Phil Bechtelsheimer and Curtis and Barkey running 1, 2, 3 in the Pro-Am category. Acura NSX Evos all. Boy, and these guys are just yapping it, aren't they?
Yeah, Long's not letting him get away, though. Still only 7/10 is the gap between the two leaders across the stripe.
Long to Baptista, 3.1.
15 minutes into this run right now. Remember, you got to do a minimum of 40-minute run before you can do your mandatory pit stop. So, tire degradation, balance of the race car. Who's going to last the longest? Like Morad was really dancing all over the curbs there on the exit of turn 3 as he fights to try and chase down that gap on Baptista.
Here's a look at the start once again, Cal.
It's a good, clean start. Morad there, though, gets really aggressive.
You can in the background, you can see Imperato up underneath Hensler. And then, of course, it all went wrong for him up in Oak Tree on that opening lap. Baptista now has been able to ease away from Morad as he seems to be finding a bit more pace. We've been talking about the return of real-time racing to the championship for the remainder of the season. And Ryan, a team that has immense history in this championship, is showing some great speed once again.
Yeah, they are with Brett Curtis in the car right now. It certainly is a welcome return to have real-time back in the GT3 ranks. Dane Cameron, great to have you in this paddock as well. How would you assess this program? Still very much in the early days for you guys.
Yeah, certainly only kind of just getting started here. We took delivery of the car maybe 10 or 15 days ago. The boys at Real Time done a lot of work. So a car had to go from California to HPD up to their shop in Wisconsin. We did about maybe 10, 15 laps apiece in Chicago last Friday. And now here we are in only one practice session here with the weather that rolled through yesterday. So we're pretty pleased with how it's been going so far. Brett's doing a good job, having a bit of a battle. He's still coming to grips with the car a little bit. I've really been enjoying the NSX GT3 Evo. It's a pretty good improvement over the first iteration. And obviously we had a 4th overall and a class pole position to start this morning for tomorrow's race. So yeah, hopefully it's all up from here, but so far it's been so good.
What are you expecting when you jump in the car for your stint?
I mean, I didn't really have any real expectations, honestly, coming into the weekend. I knew we had ingredients that would be capable of winning, but I didn't know how long it would take to kind of get those in order. So I've been pretty pleased with it so far. You know, today a little bit more just kind of going through the motions, and hopefully we can get a podium, would be really nice. Obviously tomorrow we have a little bit better track position tomorrow with our grid spot, so maybe tomorrow we can get that win if we can't get it today. But yeah, I mean, we're always here to win. That's why we do this.
Your involvement in this program, does that speak to the level of commitment that Acura and HPD have put into you racing for them in various championships?
It's a little bit more. I mean, certainly it's their blessing and their approval to come, and that kind of sweetens the deal a little bit for me and makes everybody happy. But Brett and I did some coaching and a little bit of racing together before in 2015, and really got on really well, and I was able to help him, and we had a good relationship. Went different ways when I was in prototype and that kind of thing, and kind of my name just came across the table through Brett, I think, and this Real Time tried to put together this program with him, and that seemed to get him pretty excited, and it worked for me, and I knew he was good enough to really be able to compete for wins in Pro-Am, and I knew Real Time would do a good job for us, so it was pretty easy for me to agree to sign up for it. So yeah, definitely thanks to Brett and Real Time and everyone for making it possible for me to have some fun and do some more races.
Well, it's great to have you here. Good luck in your stint.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, Brett feeling some serious pressure right now, Ryan, from Martin Barkey, who suddenly has started throwing laps down into the 47s, just a couple of tenths off of what Bechtelsheimer's been running. And we have seen Martin, when he's on, he can be wickedly quick, and I think it just clicked in here. He might have a run going on Curtis here. Looks to the outside into 1.
Very deep there. Good, clean racing so far. Just got to keep it together. He's trying to work him on the outside. Can he clear him? Can he get the power down? He's going to have the inside lane. Oh, that was too aggressive.
I don't think Curtis realized he was still there. Big off by Barkey.
It's a tough one, unless you're already alongside. Right here, I'm struggling to find a gear. Did he break something?
I think
good. I thought for a moment he'd broken a half shaft, but he's okay.
I think he saw that great big divot that he was heading toward.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It really funnels down there. We saw a similar incident between Mike Skeen and Alvaro Brent on the opening lap of the race here last year. Has he survived? Is there any damage?
Looks okay here.
And he doesn't look like there's a lot of grass in the grills either, so maybe he dodged a bullet.
Our leader coming up on the back of
43 and 80, exit turn 1, under review.
We have at the back of Kevin Milstein, the number 38. That is the KTR Motorsports.
Morad's dropped down the order.
He has, hasn't he?
He's gone from 4th down to 6th. He's in the pits. Morad has a problem.
Oh boy. Yeah, one of the fast guys in this series, certainly, and having a very solid early run into the pit lane. Daniel Morad, that's unfortunate. That promotes Molina to 4th, Hensler up into 5th.
Settle down. There's some big gaps now between these guys who were nose to tail there for a moment.
Here's another look at what happened here.
Yeah, I don't think Brett was expecting Martin to keep pushing the issue there. I think he was hoping he was going to give it up, and there's just until you race a lot here at VIR, you just realize that is a real problem area with a little snake in the road. I'm sure Martin will be frustrated that Brett didn't give him a little bit more room.
It's just snapped suddenly, and Martin did a really nice job on that damp grass from all yesterday's rain to straighten the wheel out, get it slowed down.
Well, the opposite is occurring. Pirelli's actually stretching the gap on long. These two guys have so much respect with one another. Went hard at it for a championship a couple of years ago.
Getting a report from pit lane. Morad into the pits. Problem with tire got cut apparently.
I just got to feel that there's something going on with this racetrack where one of the curbs must be breaking up a little bit or creating a rough back edge to something where these drives are exploring the track boundaries. You know, maybe just a piece of concrete has got chipped away and leaving a really sharp edge, and it's right at a critical point where there's some side load in the tire. It's too much of a coincidence.
Well, in the driver's briefing, they were talking about there were a couple of curbs where they said the front end of the curb is exposed and it's quite sharp, and if you turn in with the front tire, you miss that front end. You catch it with the back, possibly?
Anything's possible. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure everyone is sort of scratching their heads. Ooh. Oh, that's Baptista in the fence.
It is. Damage, big damage, left front corner.
Yeah, just got out wide there on the entry. It's a difficult corner. If you miss your turn and you just wash out wide, you can't recover in time. If you miss turn 11 a little bit, not sure if that's exactly what happened.
Full course yellow.
Full course yellow. You hear the call from race control. Henry Schmidt in the 87. Stephen Cameron Racing, BMW of San Francisco.
Leader at safety car speed.
GT3. Radio call to Parent saying get right down to safety car speed, which is about 80 clicks.
I think this is a different part of the racetrack to where Schmidt is.
Off, and maybe. And the irony is, I think in the second race here last year, after Skeen had slipped by and Baptista was trying to run him back down, I think this is the same spot where he
safety car procedure, safety car procedure.
All right, safety car will be coming out per race control.
Look at that Ferrari Ferrari just hanging in there. Problems around them. They're suddenly up in the third position. Gap is gone. It's game on again.
And interestingly, with the speed, well, of course, now Barkey has dropped well back after that off. But Bechtelsheimer had about a 12-second margin back to the Curtis Barkey battle. That's going to evaporate.
Yeah, that's big news because that would have been nice for Ryan Eversley to take over that car with a healthy lead. But now he's going to have the likes of Dane Cameron and Colin Brown, etc.
Yeah,
a lot closer to him.
And obviously, some incidents have played a role in this. But how about Till Bechtelsheimer 5th overall?
Yeah, I know. It's cool.
What a great story. And when we talk about Till, you know, running historic races in Europe and the like, we're not talking, you know, running big Can-Am cars or anything. He runs Allards and cars with, you know, skinny tires from way back in the era.
A lot of damage to that car.
Yeah, sure is.
Suspension is well and truly tweaked. Not sure if he just got him wide there by himself.
Yeah, because
it looked like he was under any pressure to me, looking at the gaps.
No, and we immediately then saw Schmidt off the track, but as you said, I don't think it was the same area of the track at all. Now, depending upon how bad the damage is, Capex has purchased a third car that they said love to do a customer. Well, here we go.
Yeah, just wide in the gray. Just can never recover it. If you run wide through that previous corner to Oak Tree, that's what happens. Seen a lot of great drivers make that little error. It's critical.
Now here's what happened to Schmidt.
That's the other end of the racetrack coming through 5.
That's a
great
shame.
run.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he really was looking strong.
Could be okay, though, because with this yellow for Baptista, it's actually saved Schmidt a little bit by losing too much ground.
You know, another guy that could have just benefited massively here is Morad. If they got that tire changed and out before he went down a lap.
Yeah, good point.
What I was saying about Capex, they have the third car. They were, you know, so we'd like to do a customer program, but until we get that put together, it could serve as a spare. again, just depending how bad the damage is on the front of that car. I mean, he didn't go into it at a huge amount of speed, but you hit it. It's all angles, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Probably just pulled it back, so it might have broken a arm or something. Might not be a quick cleanup. Obviously, in terms of when you can make your mandatory pit stop, that pit stop window could get delayed. Also remain at 10 minutes opening time, but it could get delayed in terms of when they run it, depending on how long it takes to clean this up. So we're basically about 13 minutes from when that would have occurred without a delay. I would think they'll get that cleaned up well before then.
Yeah.
So it could be a quick spurt back to green and then pit stop window opens.
And as the wrecker shows up to help get that car, there's Baptiste out of the car. I'm sure frustrated.
Championship leader, one
Yeah.
of.
Well, let's get down to Ryan Marine, pit lane. Obviously, incident for the number 3 car. Ryan, what's the team saying?
Well, let's find out from Darren Law, who oversees this operation. Our replay kind of cuts off a little bit. Do you know any more than we do about what Rodrigo encountered?
No, Ryan, honestly, I mean, we don't know for sure. Obviously, he went off. We can see that on the video. He hasn't reported back on what happened. We don't know if something broke or if he got wide or in too deep. I don't know. So we've got enough left front damage that hopefully we can get it back, but we're done for this race, at least today.
So they're bringing the car back to the paddock, and the focus then is on tomorrow for that car.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get it back together. We've got parts, and we'll see what happened exactly and analyze it, and hopefully be out tomorrow again.
Good news is we still have another car that's running very strong. So now all focus on Alvaro and Andy.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you know, the car's been solid the whole way through, and it's been really good on the long run, which is very important for this type of stuff. So yeah, Andy's in next, and we'll see if we can at least bring one of them home.
Thanks for the time.
You bet.
And you were making the point, Baptista and his teammate Soulé leading in the points, and one clear of the team car in terms of the point margin. The Baptista Soulé tied with Melina Vielander, so this is a huge hit. And again, you know, any kind of points, you have to hit that 75% mark. They're not going to do that. This is big.
It's huge, as tight as it is and as competitive as it is. So be curious to get the reaction from Rodrigo and see exactly what happened. He doesn't make many mistakes, but that is one of those corners where you just the slightest bit offline and you're just at the wrong trajectory and you just can't get the car pointed before you're in the dust and into the fence. Left side tires look to be up, so I didn't see any cut tire issue that I could tell with it stationary in the fence there.
Field working its way through. You can see, obviously, as you get deeper into that turn, that tire bundle on that wall comes back towards you. There's just not a lot of runoff up there.
Nope.
Once you commit into the corner, is there?
We've seen today this racetrack demands a lot of respect.
Yep.
Small mistakes are punished.
Well, that's something that I've often thought about this place, because you don't have the big gravel traps that catch you, slow you down, and stop you. You've got a very fast racetrack and then grass. I've always thought that in many ways you need to drive this almost with street course precision. And it's
Forget track limits. The track is the limit.
truly. Truly. It was interesting too in the driver briefing and talking with Elaine afterwards, the race director. He said the way they mark the track with the white lines, he said, but when you get to some of the curbs, normally the white line is in front of the curb. So you get up on the curb with one set of tires, that's fine. But you get over it, you would have exceeded track limits. He goes, but the white line here sometimes is on the back side of the curb. So he says, we just had to give them a little bit more room. But every time you give somebody a little bit more room like that, you shorten the area, the runoff area, if you get it wrong.
Right.
And it's one of the multiple nuance of Virginia International Raceway. I think you're right on the timing, too. I think we could see a green for 2 laps, pits type of scenario.
Giddy up.
Safety car in this lap,
Tighten the belts, up on the wheel. Pat Long ready for a reset. He'd love to get that track position away from Perrin before this pit stop, allow them to control things a little bit.
So we're going to have, by the time they get around, 8 minutes or so, that could be 3 laps even.
And also you got the interesting factor. Remember last year, Greg, the rules were the leader had to be the first to have the opportunity to pit. That's no longer the case. When you get to 40 minutes in, maybe too early, you might be at 39.50 when the leader comes to pit lane and someone deeper in the pack has that first opportunity to do the undercut.
Yep.
Get fresh tires on. And so this really tightens up the grip on everyone.
Well, with a caution that's bunching the field right before we would have that pit window open, we often talk about, you know, pitting early and going for the undercut, staying out on warmer tires, going for the overcut. This gets all the people scratching their heads a little bit more in the pit wall because you don't have a gap that you can really figure, okay, let's just roll the dice here and try something.
Particularly for the Pro-Am classes, because ideally if you're thinking about get your fast guy in early, but then you've got that higher tire, that hot tire temperature thing going on with guys who stay out, as you mentioned. Lots to think about. That's why I love it. I love the format. There's Schmidt. He's kind of recovered there and back with the pack, so that quick spin has not hurt them too badly.
Right, and you know it also helps Barkey too, doesn't it? Because he had lost a lot of positions, but he also just lost a lot of track distance. And kind of looking right behind, you've got Barkey. Then I think the lap car of the 19 at Kaminsky, and then Morad. So he did stay on that lead lap. And he's shown the ability to be a little bit racy, and he's got a little fresher tire on one corner of that car here in these 3 laps.
Yeah. If there's damage, that doesn't come out of your tire allotment. You are allowed a joker. Pat Long.
And lights are out. This is interesting. I didn't think that once the lights went out on the safety car, you were supposed to be bobbing and weaving. But everybody's doing it, so what do you do?
Focus, jump at the gun. That's what you do.
You focus,
get the gains in front of you. Just get ready to go. At one point, he's going to come out of one of these little curves and go like he does right there.
Yep.
Look at Molina, got a big jump there on Pat Long. Pat Long under pressure.
Yeah, Long's got to defend instead of thinking about going ahead. On board with Molina.
What does that Ferrari do on this restart? Took a while to come alive early in the going, but maybe with the tire deck setting in a little bit with everyone, the tire degradation, maybe that's equalized things a little bit for the Ferrari. You want to try and gain a position or two if he can, but at least stay right tight to them and let the SRO Motorsport team do the work in the pit lane.
You often talk about starting pressures, and that comes into play somewhat when you've been
Drive-through penalty to car 43 causing a collision. Drive-through penalty, car 43 causing a collision.
That was the incident between Kurtz and Brett Curtis there. It's a tough one, tough part of the racetrack, but definitely you would think for Barkey he would be wishing he'd been given a little bit more room. Stu would see it the same way.
Morad already starting to slice his way up through the field. There he is. He's now cleared Curtis. He's picked up 3 spots in this opening lap on the restart.
The irony with the delay on that decision was if they'd done it before the safety car, they could have served it and then bunched back up again.
Right,
now he's going to have a big gap coming down pit lane, cost you 26 seconds approximately to the field. Cameron's going to have a lot of work to do in that number 43 Acura NSX when he jumps on board. Here comes Brett Curtis to pit lane.
You've got to do it independent of your pit stop, so.
Yep.
And this is smart. Get it done now. Another caution comes out. You get Dane bunched up, you've still got opportunity.
Yeah, but they were looking really strong.
Yes,
oh, look at this little battle down into turn 1. Barkey on the attack around the outside of Kurtz.
Again on the outside. He's brave. And right behind him is Baccarella, the AM class leader.
Bechtelsheimer still there. Morad now chasing him down. Got that fresh tire on board. Skew around. There's a little bit of argy-bargy there through turn 5. Baccarella was very much in the mix with those guys.
He was.
Brent was really struggling for grip there between 11 and 12. Front end was just floating on him.
Drive through penalty car 2-2. Drive through penalty car 2-2. Overtaking before the line at the end of the safety car procedure.
There you go.
Well,
on the restarts, you're not allowed to make any pass for position before the stripe. The initial start is different. You can't poke your nose out, but you're allowed to pass before the line. So it gets confusing when drivers are jumping around between different championships because they all have their own individual regulations on procedures such as that. So Daniel ran afoul of the rule.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You run various different series. And to clarify, you know, it sounds weird when you say on a start you can't poke your nose out, but you can pass. Well, how do you pass without poking your nose out? All they're saying is you can't poke your nose out until it goes green.
Yeah, you can't get in position, you can't get out of your column
right,
and anticipating making the move once you go. And if you go a little bit quicker, you don't have to like lift off because that gets dangerous. But on the restart, you've got to time it.
Exactly.
He's gone around Bechtelsheimer for 5th position overall. Bechtelsheimer still holding down the point in the Pro-Am class, and that blue Acura NSX we're looking at there in the back of the shot. Great run for him this weekend.
So do you think Morad just gets this done now?
Got to.
I mean, I would think that's a smart move.
Well, you've only got, I think it's 4 laps to serve that penalty anyway. He's pushing hard, he'll be frustrated.
Yep.
Saw the opportunity and suddenly it's all going afoul. So I think he needs to duck in, get it done, and then think about strategy.
Well, once they go to green, it's amazing. I mean, Bechtelsheimer he is finding speed in a hurry in that AM car. I mean, a big margin already back to Kurtz. Almost 5 seconds.
Look at this little stack up. There's 6 minutes to go before we open up pit lane. So there'll be 4 more laps.
Well, we sort of saw this play out at the start, didn't we? For a good 15-20 minutes, Long was able to stay right with Parent as Morad now does make that drive down pit lane. He was able to stay with Parent, but then that last 10 minutes or so, that was when Parent was able to ease away just a little bit. And I was talking about this before. I talk about starting tire pressures at the beginning of a race. You go a little high so it comes in faster, low takes a while. But when things equalize on a safety car, that still comes into play a little bit, doesn't it? If you started with a lower pressure, you're going to have a lower pressure on that restart.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep,
yeah,
for sure. Not as dramatically different, but yeah, it'll definitely peel off a little bit of the pressure as you run around under caution speed.
All right, in about 3 seconds, that pit window will open.
Yeah, that's right, I had it wrong, sorry. Focused on 45 instead of 40. You're right. The window is open. Who blinks first? Nice lap by Parent. He's pulled that gap a little bit.
Sure has.
Not much though. This means everyone's going to be really kind of close on that 60-second minimum pit stop time. Everyone stays out. The other factor you have, Greg, is if you make that pit stop, where do you come out in terms of traffic?
Yep.
So that's a definite factor as well. With the compression of the field after the yellow, you stay out there for 60 seconds, you're basically losing just over a lap to the rest of the field. That could put you right in a bundle of traffic, so they'll certainly be monitoring that too in terms of when they want to make that move.
For this lead group of 4, when you're within a couple of car lengths of the guys in front, you just don't want to be the first one to bail. Barkey in, this makes sense. He had that off, get a fresh set of tires on just in case there's an issue. Yeah, it's a great view of the stop from the vent cam there.
Yeah, so they're trying to get Marcelli in quickly, get him up to speed. Probably typical gap between a good pro and a good am is maybe a 1.5 seconds, I would guess, in terms of the delta between the two drivers.
Yeah, Baccarella in, Kurtz, Schmidt.
Curtis's minimum pit stop delta was right on the money at 26.0. That was the number that they had to hit just for a drive-through penalty, so they were right there. So it looks like they got all their electronics set up perfectly, which could indicate that they'll have a good clean start when it's time for him to come in again. Remember, those early stops for penalties and problems do not count towards your mandatory pit stop. That has to happen during this 10-minute window.
Long stop, wasn't it, for Barkey and the switch to Marcelli?
Yeah, really long, 75 seconds. That's leaving 15 seconds on the table.
And look at Kurtz to Colin Brown, almost 20 seconds on the table.
Wow. Well, the real-time boys can execute closer to the 60-second mark, which may not be easy because
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Take it, Ryan. You're right there.
All right, Scott Hargrove and Patrick Long making the driver change here. It was not a perfect start to the race for Wright Motorsports, with Anthony Imperato losing drive right off the bat and having to withdraw from this race. But here, this Porsche looking strong. One of the few cars that's been able to consistently take the fight to the Bentleys here today. This stop looks good. They're done with the service and waiting, and now underway in the number 58 Porsche.
And we'll put the clock on it here. He's coming up on that minute. Oh, yeah, look at that. A minute point 9. That's about as good as you want to cut it.
What can the real-time boys do here? They got a great opportunity. Many of their main competitors in the Pro-Am class had leisurely pit stops, let's put it that way. If they can cut this close to that 60-second minimum, they can make up a bundle of time. Dan Cameron now on board.
Bechtolsheimer to Eversley, 20.9 seconds long. Huge opportunity here for the other teams.
Bentley responds. Bentley responds to the 58 car, creates the domino. You can't afford to get stuck out there in a safety car coming out. You have to come.
Askew to Dial, a minute 3, that's good.
66 seconds for Brett Curtis to Dane Cameron, so it's not perfect, but it certainly made up a bundle of time on some of those guys that had created the gap with that drive-through penalty for Brett Curtis. Minimized his damages somewhat, but still left a bit of time on the table.
And Parent in the Capex crew going to work. Again, Long turned over to Hargrove at 60.9 seconds.
Hot in lap though for Parent versus a cold out lap, and regarding tires for Scott Hargrove. 60.9 was the 58. How tight did the Capex group cut it? 60.5. They execute. And look at the gap. The gap is bigger.
It is.
That hot lap for Parent. You'll probably see Hargrove on the front straightaway. There he is. But now the key is he has hot tires. He will cut into this gap on Andy Soucek quickly.
Here's Hargrove. There is Soucek.
And he knows it. This is go time. He is going to be digging deep. He is going to be attacking these corners. He's got to chase down that Bentley and put the pressure back on. Souček in reverse. He knows he's got to load those tires and get them up to pressure as quickly as he can and respond. Ultimately, you would have to think that the K-Pax team may extend that lead once things settle back in again.
Traffic, that shouldn't be an issue. Oh, may have slowed him down onto the straight.
Yep.
Here's Hargrove.
This is it. I think by the time you get down to turn one and through that corner, though, Souček should have pressure and temperature and will stabilize that gap once again.
Molina and Hensler are now in. We'll keep an eye on those. There is Molina turning over to Vilander. Boy, I'm not convinced this. They're still doing tires. Driver's not buckled up. This is not going to be quick, Cal. They got a long way to go to pit exit.
Yeah, this is bad stop here. This is probably going to be about 70. Tony Vilander will be fired up.
Hensler to Holtz are not bad at a
71
62.
seconds for Molina to Vilander. That's leaving 10 seconds on the table. That is a disaster for the Alfieri group. Caught it late. I'm not sure where the initial delay was, but not good execution.
The other stop that was a little bit off, Murad turning over to Michael De Quesada, 76 seconds essentially. That was the last thing they needed after the drive-through.
Basically 2 minutes left on the board. Pretty much everyone's been in, right?
I think so.
Okay, so we'll let things settle back in again. See how we stack up.
I want to wait one more lap, make sure timing's right, but it looks like Marcelli may have picked up the lead with their stop in Pro-Am.
I'm not sure because they had a bad one too, right?
That's what I thought too, yeah. But grass, yep, 75. That's why I want to wait for timing to cycle one more time. See what kind of times we see Vilander throwing down. That's what scoring is showing right now in the Pro-Am category.
They're going to be hot laps by Vilander, whether in terms of pace or under his collar.
That is very true.
He's not shy about making his feelings known, so if there was a mistake by someone, he'll be giving everyone an earful. All right, Marcelli does have the lead, so I'm not sure what happened on Eversley's out laps potentially, but they change of position, but it's close.
Looking at the exchange for, Eversley's wasn't great either. They had almost 21 seconds long.
Right. Marcelli has a 2-second lead. Boy,
that's
here we
close.
go. Hargrove is right on him. Big mistake there by Andy Souček. Similar to what Baptista did, so seems like if that Bentley loses at nose coming through turn 11, it's a struggle for the driver to keep it on line. You can smell blood in the water right now. Souček is a man who's under pressure. Been a Bentley boy for a long time, but didn't have a great Bathurst. It's almost like they sat him down for the California 8 Hours by not seeing him on the entry list. Did a great job this morning in grabbing the second pole for tomorrow's race, but Little mistake there, he has to respond.
Well, he's at least neutralized it.
Hargrove and Long coming off a pair of podiums at Circuit of the Americas, so a nice strong start to their weekend. Wow, Hargrove rolled some speed through there. That was beautiful. You can do it when the tires are still in really great shape. Just really load that car up.
The problem is you don't want to keep doing that, because then it starts taking its toll on the tires, and the deg will pick up its pace, won't it?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to strategize from the driver's seat, even in terms of how to attack. How much do you want to take out of the tires and put the pressure on? You see opportunity, though, you have to go for it. Attack for a little bit and then settle back in.
Just looking at Souček, we just had that shot last time through Oak Tree. As he turned in, there was there's that curb on the inside, and it looked like he kissed it, and you could see the front end give a big wiggle. I wonder if, so we never saw what really started the incident with Baptista, but I wonder if he and maybe Souček on that little run wide he had, if they just got that entry curb a little bit too much, skated the car.
Yep. Typically, if you just miss the turn in, you're just like a couple of feet off apex. You can just you got turn in, which is making it understeer worse, and you can never recover.
Right, right. You keep looking to come up and watch the times and just see Vilander throw in one that's just ridiculously fast out of, as you said, just picking the car up and carrying it at this point. All right, well, we were speculating on what may have happened to create that long stop, Ryan, for the Our Ferry crew. What are they saying?
Enrico Diano would be the one to know. He's the team manager for Our Ferry. It seemed like you lost a little bit of ground in that pit sequence. Was there a hang-up during the pit stop?
Yeah, we had a bit of a delay with the driver change. Radio wires and things got all tangled up in the seatbelts and Hans' device. We lost a position. We came in, we were holding third place quite steadily, and now we're in fourth, 3 seconds behind third. Tony's pushing hard. Obviously, he's going to do his best to catch up. It's an unfortunate incident, and we hope to make up ground.
Well, the good news is you have Tony in the car, and especially I think when he might be a little bit ticked off, he's going to be a guy who's awfully quick behind the wheel, right?
Yeah, actually, sometimes that helps. It just makes it harder for us on the radio, but a bit of rage in there helps you go faster.
All right, well, let's hope it helps you get up on the podium just one spot away. Thank you, Enrico.
Thanks.
Turn the radios off and have an ice cream. Wait for them to finish.
Maybe the quote of the weekend. Makes it a little harder for us on this end of the radios.
He's going to be on max attack.
Boy, isn't he?
3.1 seconds is the gap between he and Holzer, who holds down that podium position right now, but Vilander just laid his personal best down at a 1:45.3, which was some 0.6 quicker than Holzer ran. Vilander improves it to a 45.1, again 0.6 quicker, so he's cutting over half a second a lap out of that gap up to the third position.
And Souček has responded after that little wobble up in Oak Tree when Hargrove got very close. Souček has put in a couple of laps that are a few tenths faster than Hargrove and been able to open that margin up just a little bit again.
And that's where a pro with so much experience, you just have to dig deep, but you know, every racing driver is different, but certainly some personalities are a little bit more frail than others. If you're having a bad run and you make a little mistake and get in your head a little bit. Alvaro even alluded to it in our qualifying show this morning, saying he spoke to Randy just to stay focused, don't get too excited. And he responded appropriately with a brilliant pole position lap.
And has responded here, of course, problems for the other car, Baptista having the off up in Oak Tree, Ryan, and getting into the barriers. What's he have to say?
Well, the good news, first of all, guys, is Rodrigo is okay. Unfortunately, you're stuck talking to me in the middle of the race. I'm sure you'd rather see the car out there, but what happened? What can you take us through the incident from your seat?
So, yeah, it's a shame, you know, we had a fast car, but I was just trying to push a little bit to get the guys in front, and I think I touched a little bit the grass on the brake, and then I had the understeering, and then I went straight, and then when I touched the grass on the outside, I couldn't do nothing, you know, so yeah, it's a shame, you know. Sorry for the team and for my team.
How is the car? Will you be able to have it ready to go for race number 2?
I think so. No, the car is not bad, and for sure the team is gonna work on it, and yeah, we'll be back tomorrow.
Tough luck today. Looking forward to seeing you in race 2.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you can hear it, obviously, you know, just injection in terms of his teammate, the team itself, but also huge hit in the points.
Yeah, it is, but I think he described it perfectly. If he put a wheel on the grass under braking, that means you enter the corner with a bit too much speed. You turn in, you wash a little bit wide, and it's just such a small area to get the rhythm down, to get turned in for Oak Tree, and you're just along for the ride. You cannot afford to just miss it by that much.
Precision. Yep. This place demands it and penalizes its absence, that's for sure.
Battle here. Dial and Cameron were very close together, and they both managed to get around Fuentes, but it's create a bit more of a gap between Ryan Dial and Dane Cameron.
Looking at the Pro-Am run order right now, we talked about it. 5th and 6th for Dial and Cameron.
Battle. Guys who have been used to battling out in prototype machines over the years. A lot of respect for one another.
Great experience. Great racecraft, both of them.
Ryan's worked with a number of this group on this team by Richard Rader, and good group, and it's all about establishing good connections throughout the course of your racing career, how new opportunities are created. So you want to be quick, obviously, as a race driver. You want to be liked, and you wanted to establish those strong relationships, and Ryan Dial's been excellent at doing that. He always seems to find good rides. The SN team shut shop here. He's obviously in need of a couple of seats for this year, which he's found, which is great stuff.
One of the things that he does, I think, very well is works with a less experienced driver, just coaches him up beautifully, brings him along. You look what he did the last few years in the championship with Parker Chase, and the massive leaps that Parker made in a relatively short time.
Yeah, won that Pro-Am Sprint X championship together last year. Just dipped into the 44s there, tried to chase down Ryan Dial. Dial set his fast lap at 1:45.1, but Cameron dips into the 44 range, which is similar pace to the leaders. But boy, did Soucek lay one down a couple of laps ago. 1:44.5, the fastest lap of this race. He's extended that lead up to 1.5 seconds over Scott Hargrove in the Wright Motorsports number 58.
There's a look at Martin Fuentes, leading in the AM category.
He didn't put up much of a fight to Dial and Cameron. I think he knows his class position. It's by the Havana Cup too.
Yeah, he's got room. He knows he's got a margin now back to Cagnazzi in the province with the number 19. Whoa!
It's a big miss there.
Got away with one. That's
good.
That's part of the issue sometimes when you're not 100% pushing hard. That's when those
get out of
things,
rhythm.
Yep.
It's almost like he's in a gear too tall there and just couldn't get it turned in. Beautiful Hublot colors.
Great graphics on that car. Squadra Corsa Garage Italia, run by TR3 essentially. Look at this now. As Hargrove is taking that margin down in a big chunk in that last lap. He's under a second away.
Yeah, because Soucek may have hit a little bit of traffic because he laid down the fastest lap of the race and then was a 1.5 seconds slower on the subsequent lap. Has allowed that gap to go back down under a second.
I wonder if it may have been Leafouge who's very quick, but you caught him in just the wrong spot.
Hargrove really wringing its neck, just like we saw Pat Long in qualifying this morning. Really edgy through the roller coaster and through hog pen. Under 30 to go. Darren Laurel alluded to the fact that the Bentley should be really strong on the long run, but that Porsche looked pretty good to me as well.
Yeah, it did.
The key would have been whether they gambled a little bit with the starting pressure for Hargrove to do the undercut. They really needed that car to come alive quickly, so they may have gone high on the pressure to start with.
Well, you were just talking about Pat Long and how he wrung that car's neck in the qualifying session, and Ryan Marine has run him down.
I have. I caught up with Pat Long. Not an easy thing to do, but in terms of the racetrack, not so bad here on pit lane. You're watching your young teammate Scott Hargrove really give it all he's got out there and keeping the leader in his line of sight. That's got to be pretty exciting for you, helping to bring him along.
Yeah, he doesn't need much of an introduction or any help from me. Very, very quick young guy. I've really enjoyed getting to know him in the last couple of weekends. We haven't worked a lot together, but so far we're finding good synergies. We like the same car, and he's keeping me honest out there.
The Bentley is strong. How about the Porsche over the course of a longer stint? Is that something that you might find as your strength relative to the Bentley?
Yeah, we were better on the long run, but pretty tough to get by on the straights. That car has a lot of boost, but Alvaro is a class act. I really enjoy getting out there and hammering tongs. We want to beat each other more than anybody on the whole grid, but we respect one another, and he's a heck of a driver. So I'm sure I'll see him after the race, and hopefully we'll come out on top, but if we don't, we're going to congratulate him.
And you two have had some good battles over the years, not just in races, but fighting for championships too. Overall, that's a positive memory for you, fighting with Alvaro?
Yeah, it is. Tough racing. Doesn't give me an inch, and I try not to give him one either. But actually, we raced for the same karting team, CRG, 25 years ago in Italy. And so full circle when you grow up racing against the same guys. And yeah, he's tough.
Outstanding. Well, hey, good luck the rest of the way. Looking solid right now. Maybe one more spot to get out there.
Yeah, we're going to try and push here to the end. Thanks.
Thank you, Patrick.
I love the international, global nature of sports car racing. An American and a Portuguese racing karts with each other in Italy. You gotta love it.
It's pretty cool. The small world is amazing how many times these drivers' paths have crossed over the years.
Yes. Yes. And you could throw in one driving a German car, one driving a British car. So
left-hand drive.
We could continue, but let's not. It sure makes it for fascinating racing, that's for sure. And Hargrove was sort of recognized by Porsche as well, wasn't he? And that's how this ride came together with him to be partnered with Long.
Yeah, well, he got recognized quickly when he grabbed that pole position at St. Petersburg, opening round of our championship last year. So, and just dug deep. I mean, he was competing against Porsche factory drivers like Michael Christensen, and you know, he put on a great show, so that certainly got him noticed. And when this opportunity came up, he still runs with Pfaff in another championship, but when this seat was available to run alongside Pat Long, he was the pick. It was a good pick.
Oh, track awareness.
Yeah, it's a bit late on the block there.
Yeah, I really don't think that was a block. I think he was trying to get out of the way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you might be right.
It's like, yeah, that's 19 of Kegnazzi.
Yeah, that wasn't the position, so yeah, you're right. He was just trying to move out of the way. So he was committed, probably thinking, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, yeah. And that's one of those things that you hear so often in various driving schools and also driver briefings.
Warning
like,
flag to car 19.
Don't try and help.
Driving
That's
standards.
right. Oh, you're flustered. He just spun and he doesn't know
sure.
where the traffic is, and he think, oh, let me get offline.
Yep.
But Marcelli already had the momentum.
there's certainly no intent there, but well, you know, this margin had opened up to a little over a second, and it sure doesn't look like that now.
And the margin between third and fourth is stabilized. Vilander was on the charge, cutting into that gap that Holzer has with the 24 Porsche, but it's actually gapped back out again. About a second and a half right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Holzer's last lap was, what, 3/10 quicker. He needed that. The problem, of course, you know, Marcelli will be a little frustrated because he had a margin, but it was only 5 seconds back to Eversley.
Yeah.
And he could have lost 3 of that in that little exchange in a hurry.
Yeah, that's right. The 1-2 for Acura in the Pro-Am class there, with Marcelli leading Eversley. Colin Brown having a good run, 2.3 seconds behind Eversley. Good little battle shaping up for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Plum running really good lap times, but both Diala's on the charge. Cameron's going with him, and they're cutting into that gap, so that should compress here before the finish. Holzer, he's a young driver who kind of had his opportunities with Porsche, then seemed to fall off the radar a little bit, but good to see him back.
Indeed. Yeah, very quick.
He is.
Teamed with Wolfe.
Yeah, he doesn't give anything up. He looks as fit as a,
doesn't he?
A fiddle right now. Never carried anyway, but I think he's, when you're teamed up with some of these youngsters, it just makes you hit the gym even harder to stay on the game. Pat Long alluded to the fact that Scott Hargrove was keeping him on his toes. So.
Well, I think Wolfe has been doing a lot of, he's started to do some serious running as well, and for stamina and the like. And
that will knock the weight off.
Yes, it will. He's just a great character.
Great karaoke singing.
I've never witnessed that.
Up front, down to 7/10. Hargrove is not going anywhere.
No, he's not.
Soucek's tires better stay underneath him, otherwise Hargrove is going to pounce here for the lead.
Yeah, personal best for Hargrove that last lap, Gal.
Really strong. 44.6 at this stage of the run. That is impressive. That will get Andy Soucek's attention. How can he respond now? If he can respond in terms of lap time, great, but if he has to start getting defensive, that's just going to compromise his lap time even further. Pex and the Bentley team came in at this race probably feeling really good, had the solid test, had the rainy day yesterday that affected everyone, all routine around again.
Gets it going. Well, you have one spin, sometimes it just completely gets you off your rhythm, doesn't it?
Yeah, you get flustered.
You just can't figure it out again.
Getting back to the Bentley situation, that looked like it was going to be total control, and then suddenly Baptista's little mistake, and now you got the other car under pressure. You know no winner's going to come easy, but I think they thought they were going to have a slightly easier day than they haven't.
As we follow this battle for the overall lead, Colin Brown has closed on Eversley now. It's down to 1.7 seconds.
Yep.
And as we're watching with Hargrove, as he's taken that margin down last time by officially to 0.36 of a second, I'm guessing there's a nervous guy standing next to you, Ryan.
Let's check in with Alvaro Parent. We see Andy in the car right now, and it looks like that Porsche is getting a little bit closer. Do you have a sense for what he's dealing with based on your experience in your stint earlier?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, we had a great pit stop and managed to maintain the lead. I know exactly what's happening. For sure, the Porsche is stronger in some areas, and we're a little bit stronger in other areas. So I think it's going to be exciting to watch until the end. But but I'm sure on all braking areas, Andy's trying to minimize the problem, which the Porsche seems to have a little bit more on all the braking areas and the really slow second gear corners into the back straight. Oak Tree corner there, they seem to be a bit stronger. But then on the high speed stuff, we're a little bit stronger. So let's see if Andy can hold on. We'll see.
That's one of the fun things about sports car racing, isn't it? Each car is stronger and weaker in different places.
Yeah, that's what's interesting in the GT world, you know. So we'll see. We'll have to wait till the end. Hopefully, the tires will start to wear off. The Porsche's tires, so Scott's tires will start to wear off, and we'll maintain the lead. Let's see.
Fingers crossed the rest of the way. Congrats.
Thank you.
He's talking about getting through the second gear corners, getting out of Oak Tree. Well, part of that remains just the platform of that 911 concept of that engine right over those drive wheels. It just plants and goes well.
It does. That's one of its strengths, obviously, and this is where it gets difficult with Souček. He's just got to manage this traffic as well as the guy who's all over him right now. So he's finding that rhythm of dealing with the traffic effectively, knowing where to stack him up a little bit, back that Porsche up, and get a good clean run on the car in front of you. And that's where the experience factor kicks in.
That's Michael De Quesada. You can see Souček lights flashing. Nice job by De Quesada letting them both through. Didn't really seem to hurt either of them too much.
I'm sure for Hargrove, he's saying, come on, buddy, you're a Porsche stable, mate. Help me out here.
Miss a shit. Oh, you can't. Into Oak Tree. Ooh.
There, he picks up the throttle super early.
Yep.
But it just kind of stabilizes. The Bentley just have a little bit more top speed, and even though Hargrove is in the draft. Speed trap, and Hargrove is 4 kilometers down on Souček through the speed trap despite being in his draft.
And they're coming up on the back of one of the 111 competition.
Oh, this is tough right
Ferraris.
There. Like for Souček's benefit, didn't catch him at Apex. That is a terrible place to catch traffic, but should have worked out okay as long as that Ferrari sees him and gives him the lane into the brake zone.
I think that's the 99 of Plum.
No effect on the traffic, so Souček clears those hurdles.
0.5, half a second at the line between these two. 16 to go.
Holtz's hanging in there.
Yeah, he is. Keeping Vilander at bay, that's no mean feat. Colin Brown continues to just chip away. He's got that margin to Eversley down to 1.3 seconds. Battle for second and third in the Pro-Am category.
Diala's got around Plum for 4th position in Pro-Am. Cameron's now on Plum's tail.
Oh, Hargrove's so close.
Yeah, right there. You can just hear him get on that power super early. He'll be frustrated by the little gap that Souček picks up here. A car length, I would guesstimate.
Looks like both of them are a few feet off of the apex curb there. Is that just because that's a faster line to run as opposed to squaring it up too much and scrubbing speed?
I think that's affected by the previous corner, Greg. So if you're losing grip a little bit and you're just sort of like running a little bit wider, you just can't ask too much from the front end of the car for Oak Tree, and just run a slightly wider radius and deal with it. You want to get to that apex, you're just going to overslow to achieve it, possibly.
Well, historically, they always have been, but that Porsche is good on the brakes.
It's been a good little battle.
Cameron and Plum?
Yeah, Plum had held down that 4th position for a long time, but Cameron and Dial were running slightly faster lap times. Dial has got around him, as you can see in the DXDT Mercedes AMG. That's Ryan Dial there running in the 4th position in Pro-Am.
So clearly the car that the leaders just went by was Cagnazzi, not Plum.
It's a good opening salvo for the real-time boys. I mean, obviously that drive-through penalty hurt them. Otherwise, they'd have been 26 seconds further down the road. But we're looking at an NSX 123 in glass potentially. That's okay. It's all about learning, and good run now by Cameron.
Well, in their first. Oh,
Hargrove
off.
I believe that's Oak Tree, isn't it?
It sure looks like it could be.
This could be the same corner where Baptista had his issue. Not quite sure.
It's running. It's like you can't find a gear. Here we go. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Roll speed in. Ooh, loses the tail. Such a tough corner.
Yep.
You know, Baptista just kind of understeered wide, couldn't get the front back. Hargrove just asked a lot for the car in terms of rolling mid-corner speed and lost the rear end, started to oversteer a little bit, and then by catching it, then you suddenly got the front end off the road.
The engine's still running. It's almost like he can't get a gear.
This is a disaster for these boys because they were right in the championship hunt. The problems for Baptista, they would have been leaping up the table, but this is not good news for Scott Hargrove. Cannot find a reverse gear, it looks like. This could court. If he cannot move, this is going to be a full course caution. They're going to give him some time, but could be another reset here with 12 minutes to go.
Look there at the Pro-Am run order, top 8. Cameron full attack mode now on Plum.
He may have used up his tires a little bit in that charge. He's running really great lap times, but kind of got stymied a little bit now, plateaued.
Yellow, full course.
Here we go.
Full course yellow, full course yellow.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Vilander has got another crack at this.
Yes, he does.
Sits in the 3rd position. Holzer had kept him at bay. The gap had been sort of like hovering between 1.5 seconds and 2. On board with Hargrove in replay. Just tried to load the car, was trying to close that gap to get into Oak Tree a little bit tighter on the Bentley. The rear end just went on him a little bit, tries to catch it.
Safety car procedure, safety car procedure.
Safety car coming out. Kyle Marcelli right now up into the 4th overall spot, leading in the AM class over Eversley. That's 8 seconds. That's going to go away.
Yeah, looking at the lap times, Marcelli's best is a 45.2. Eversley a 45.6. So curious to see if Ryan Eversley has anything for Marcelli for the win there.
And we were just talking about Kyle Marcelli driving the number 80 Racer's Edge MBRP Acura, having another superb run, Ryan.
Yes, he is, as did his co-driver Martin Barkey, who started this race. John Meraki is the team owner for Racer's Edge. Another really solid run for you guys after an impressive GT3 debut at COTA. I know you felt like there were things that you could improve on as a team, even as impressive as COTA was. How do you feel this weekend has gone in terms of upping your game the way that you'd like to see?
Well, I think we clearly have made some progress in a couple of the areas we were working on. We'll analyze the race afterward and see if we really made the progress we were looking for in all of them. We had a little snafu there in the pit stop when the car wouldn't restart, and we had to jump it with a jump battery. But the guys responded to it perfectly, and we lost a minimum amount of time. We were able to get back out there. So we'll see after the race, but right now I feel like we did a good job, and we have made some progress.
This yellow, probably not what you wanted to see, with a pretty handy lead in class before it came out.
No, definitely not. We were comfortable with where things were, and we wanted to see the race just end like that. Also, from a fan standpoint, that race for second and third in our class was getting pretty heated up and exciting. So we were anxious to see that kind of play out.
What's the message to Kyle? How likely is it that we'll have a restart? And if we do, what do you have him prioritize?
Just to get a really good restart and maintain his lead, obviously. There's really nothing more than that. You know, the guys behind him are professionals, so we're not too worried about them doing anything silly. It's just maximizing the restart, trying to gap everybody, and then maintain the gap. Whether we'll get a restart or not, I don't know. You never know how long it takes them to clean up the car, and we are getting close to the end. So hopefully at this point, I guess it'll just end under yellow. I guess I'll be happy with that.
Thank you, John. Good luck.
All right, thanks a lot.
Oh, that's the conflict, isn't it? You want to race to the finish and everything, but boy, if it had to end under yellow, we get the win, we could deal with that. I'm not sure we're going to. It sounded like he, had life in the engine. He just couldn't get it in gear, and if in extracting him, they were able to find a gear for it, he might be able to drive away. That would be
or
optimal.
at least get him into a safe haven without having to pull him all the way back to pit lane.
Exactly.
I got a feeling we're going to see some action here before the checker comes out.
I do too. Certainly hopeful of that. And it's going to be some fraught action at that.
How much does Tony Vilander put it on the line? Think of the big picture of the championship. It's early days, so you got to grab every point you can. I think he's going to be on the attack if he's got any tires left to go after Marco Holzer here. Fortunately for Andy Soucek, he's got some lap cars between he and Holzer. Could give him a little bit of breathing room here at the restart.
Everybody being prepared, trying to scrub those tires up a little bit.
Okay, well, 7 minutes on the board. I think a safety lap was about 3.5, so we've probably got 2 opportunities to go here, even though it could be 1 lap sprint to the finish.
Safety car in this lap.
Nice.
In this lap.
Yeah.
Good job, everyone.
Well done. So, Holter would like to take a run at Soucek, but he's going to be certainly paying attention to what Vilander's doing.
Yeah. Is that car right behind Soucek? I do not believe is Holzer.
No.
That's the 22. That's Casada. So Holzer's 2 cars further back. So this is great news for Andy Soucek. It's confusing with the Lego cars, but
Yes. Well, it's the bright yellow splitter is the 22. The orange one is the 24. That helps a little bit. And then you've got the Ferrari that's third in line there is down a lap. That is Cagnazzi, I believe.
But for the it's good news for Soucek, and it's also good news for Vilander. It's bad news for Holzer in both cases.
Exactly.
He's got people in front of him he's got to clear to get to the leader, and he's going to have Vilander all over his tail when we get back to green here.
And the interesting thing, you look back to 4th place, where Marcelli is in the leading number 80 Acura. Right behind him is Eversley in 2nd. Right behind him is Brown in 3rd. Right behind him is DL.
That Plum and Cameron.
Oh, boy.
6-car train.
4th on
right
back.
there.
This is going to be fierce.
Who's got the tires to go on the attack will be the key. And what are we going to have left? It could be, might get 3 laps.
Might get 3, yeah. This is going to be good here.
Basically need 3.5 minutes to not get the checker. So yeah, it's going to be tight, but I think we're going to get green then.
And what's interesting on the restart prior, after the caution prior to the pit, you remember Parent was weaving and scrubbing tires all the way halfway down the front straight, and then he went. wonder if Souček is going to employ that same strategy.
I don't think he needs to, because the man he's racing is not right behind him. I think he's just going to focus on letting that safety car get its gap and then just taking off.
That would be the smart move, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he doesn't need to play too many games here. Just go. There we go. He's rolling.
All right, folks. Safety car is in. Souček is on the throttle. Starter's hand is on the green and
flag.
It waves.
You have to wait. Remember, you can't pass before the stripe, so if any of those guys in the middle of the pack get too racy, they've got to wait till they get over the stripe. Tell you what, Plum made a big move. He's got around Dial. There's Cameron there trying to make a move as well, so Dial did not get a great start there in that aqua blue front end Mercedes AMG you're looking at in the pack.
And Marcelli got through on Vilander.
This little scrum going down into turn 4.
What a start for Marcelli.
Big stack up. That was not what Vilander needed.
No, he'll be doubly furious now. Nice job by Casada there. De Casada let Marco through and then moved over and took the line away from everybody else. He had to turn in at some point. That's fair.
Vilander will be frustrated because even though it's not for class position, it still counts in the points. He needs to get back by Marcelli.
He's got a very racy Eversley on his 6 too.
A little gaggle back there.
Boy, you were right about Plum's restart too. Look at Eversley on Vilander. Hunting, looking everywhere he possibly can.
Cameron to the inside on Dial at the back of the pack. They're side by side into the brake zone. Souček got everything working.
Well, everything is played out beautifully for him on this restart. There's Holzer.
Should be 2 more laps.
Yeah. There's Marcelli leading in Pro-Am.
What a day it'd be for them if they can follow up with another class win here.
Exceptional.
Car is hooked up. Sully looking super strong. Ryan Eversley hanging tough as well there. Still second in class. Put the pressure on Vilander overall.
If Plum can hang on here, the 111 competition team could be on a podium. Only their 3rd start.
Actually, Colin Brown, who's got shuffled back a little bit, not Ryan Dial.
Oh, you're right, yep.
Sure what happened in the roller coaster. I'm pretty sure I saw Cameron and Dial side by side, but somehow when they came out the other end, it's Colin Brown who's got shuffled back.
Vilander now has been able to put a little bit of breathing room over Eversley.
I'll be happy with losing a position. Tony likes to go forward, not backwards, so slightly frustrating day. It looked like things were coming his way with the reset and being right on Marco's tail, but Marcelli had a great run. Let's have a look down into turn 1. Marcelli just tucks it down underneath there.
Yep. Vilander got out wide and just couldn't get it turned back in, could he?
That's right. Just couldn't find the front end grip. Marcelli took advantage.
All right, white flag should fly.
Warning flag car 19, driving standards.
Here we go, Souček looking for the white flag. 1 to go here in round 3. The Blancpain GT World Challenge America Championship chase. Healthy little margin of almost 3 seconds back to Holzer with a lap to go. Vilander giving himself a little room back to Eversley. He's starting to attack a bit on Marcelli.
Souček's probably breathing a big sigh of relief. I mean, Hargrove looks super racy there, was really piling the pressure on until that little mistake there into turn 11.
Yeah, and Vilander is really keeping the pressure on Marcelli.
Yeah. He's trying to make a move here, but that Acura is awfully strong.
Red Ferrari is there, and then here's this great little battle.
Yeah, Brown's got a problem. He's dropped like a stone. Allen's moving backwards.
Yeah, Fuentes has gone around Brown even.
Vilander looking to the inside.
Oh, we got
what
him.
a move. Kyle saw him coming, just opened up the door. That was smart. Keep that class win.
Yeah, that didn't do anything to hurt the Marcelli's class position, and it helped Vilander, and I think he realized he's coming.
He saw that bright red silhouette and realized he was committed.
Yep.
If he'd turned in, there could have been contact, and typically you're the one who's going to go around, depending on where you get doored.
Oh, now it did slow down his entry onto the back straight, and it's brought Eversley right back into the mix here.
It's like an Acura 1-2. Which one is it going to be at the lead?
All right. But in round 3, it is Bentley. K-Pax Racing winning at VIR. Alvaro Parent and the team celebrating at the line. Vilander hanging on, although it was Holzer who gets second, Vilander third. Marcelli, I think maybe one of the smart moves of the race, the way he played that one, still wins. Gets max points in the AM category. Eversley second, Plum third.
Everyone's happy. Everyone gets it.
Everybody happy. Absolutely. Wow, that worked out incredibly well. What a finish. And a huge shout out to the 111 competition team and the number 99 of Alfred Caola, who did a great opening stint. Turned the car over to Matt Plum in a good position. Plum did what Matt Plum is known to do. And a podium finish in their third race. That is superb.
Yeah, he went from what was looking like a fifth, sixth place finish to a podium.
Uh-oh.
Transformed in 30 seconds time penalty, overtaking prior the line at the end of the safety car procedure.
Well, that just nulled that out, didn't it?
Restart. Just as we were talking it up, he loses and that puts Dial on the podium.
Yep.
David Askew. That's a great result for that group.
It is. And folks, just explain that in case you didn't quite catch it. A drive-through penalty, the pit delta is 26 seconds, but you also have to slow down going into the pits, and it takes you longer to accelerate. So if it's applied as a post-race time penalty, it's done in 30 seconds, and so that's what they're going to be adding to the time for Matt Plum. So that's unfortunate, but if you rule's a rule. But still, a great performance by that team. Showed that they are in this Pro-Am Championship. They're for real.
Very much so. That was an entertaining race.
Yes, it was.
Settled down a little bit at certain points, but lots of action. Cautions kind of spiced it up.
And
some teams executing. I tell you what, though, tomorrow some of those teams have got to tighten up those pit stop times.
Yes, they do.
Left a lot of time on the table, and we're lucky to get that reset and basically diminish that problem.
Well, and you look at 11 seconds long in the pit stop. Look where Vilander finished.
Yep.
That sort of thing. As we take a look at the results again, if the number panel is highlighted in white, it's Pro, and black, it's Pro-Am, and if it's red, it's Am. And Brent Hensler Molina. Brent, of course, Suchek, his co-driver, Hensler and Holzer, Molina, Vilander. That's your Pro podium, your Am podium, Pro-Am podium. Sparky Marcelli, great run. Bechtelsheimer, was he impressive?
Yeah, great day.
Whew, wow. In the Gradient Acura, and then Caola and Plum. Now again, that will change. They will drop down the order, so we'll end up being Askew and Dial third on the podium. And then Baccarella and Fuentes continuing their streak, and Kaminsky and Cagnazzi second in the AM class. A little bit of a rough race, obviously, but nice job nonetheless. And for Suchek and Parent, with a big swing in points, 25 to 18 for first to second. And with Vilander actually in the third spot, it's some 10 points, isn't it? So they'll have the lead.
They'll have the lead. 2 runner-up finishes in the opening rounds at Coda. Strong start.
Absolutely. Entertaining race. And again, I think we saw some really, really savvy racecraft and thinking by Marcelli. With Vilander attacking, he realized, as you talked about, Cal, it wasn't going to hurt him.
Yeah, pressure off Andy Suchek. That's a big race for him, I think.
I think you're right. He had that little moment.
Yep.
Saved it.
Yeah.
And then responded beautifully and opened it up.
Those are the margins, though, right?
Yeah. That's it.
His teammate just a few inches further wide. He's in the fence day over, and Andy Soucek, he just pulls it out and grabs the victory.
Yep. And, you know, I was about to say coulda, woulda, shoulda. Hargrove, he doesn't have that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
a tough day for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a perfectionist. He will not be happy about that little
You
slip.
are right. There's Darren Law. Congratulations to Soucek. You know, they have really, really enjoyed the pairing for the last couple of years with Soucek in that team. And I think, you know, your comment about his issues at Bathurst and the like, I think the team was saying, yeah, that's fine, but we want him. Yeah. We believe in him, and boy, did he respond. And look at that.
There, Soulé and Baptiste to come over to congratulate. They had a rough day, but it's a big team, and they got good momentum. They'll come back strong tomorrow.
Yes, they will. The smiles, man, it's just absolutely fantastic. All right, and the celebrations are continuing and will be for a while, certainly. And I know working his way into the celebrations is Ryan Marine.
There's some real emotion down here in Victory Lane. Andy Soucek, sorry to pull you away from the celebration. Plenty of folks coming up to give you some congratulations. Why is this win so special?
Well, it took 1 year and a few races to come. Last year we were very unfortunate. If you remember here, Alvaro was pushed off and we made a chassis, so we didn't even participate. And the fact that I could at least get in the car, do my stint, and obviously get to the final lap in P1. It wasn't easy to hold Hargrove. I think he had a bit more pace than us, especially I think our pressures went a bit too high, so that's something we need to work for tomorrow. But he was pushing me quite hard and giving me a difficult time. I just tried not to do any mistakes, and finally the one who did the mistake was himself. So I'm pleased that you know, we made a good gap to both Hargrove and our teammates. Unfortunately for Rodrigo, who did a mistake, and he usually doesn't. But for us, it's good for the championship, good for Bentley, good for K-Pax. I'm happy.
Congratulations on the race win, Andy, and best of luck in race 2.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was an important one for him, and did a nice job in those last couple of laps when he had that a couple of lap cars between himself. He had the margin and was able to stretch it. And you know, let's give a shout out to Marco Holzer and Wolf Henser. Solid second place finish for the Allegra team. They were in it all day long, and nice to see them come through with a big finish.
Yeah, really
as well.
Solid day. Yeah, Wolfie was up on the wheel early, and Marco, it's a big day for him. Nice to see him have a strong run.
And we've been talking about the great run to start this season for that Racer's Edge team, and another great finish here, and a savvy bit of racecraft by Marcelli on that last lap.
Yes, Martin Barkey started the race. Kyle Marcelli finished it off, and man, you had some wild racing in there, especially on that restart. What was going through your mind as you were fighting for Tony Vilander for an overall position, but not a position in class?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It was just a matter of, you know, recognizing where we were and where our fight is. And, you know, we're running in the Pro-Am category. We were leading in our class, yet we were caught up with the Pro-Pro battle. And, you know, as much as you want to be there, you also don't want to be there. And I know Tony was going to be aggressive. So when he, you know, went for the move, I gave it to him and didn't bother fighting. The last thing we wanted to see was that full course caution. We had a nice, comfortable lead, and I had settled into this Acura NSX. Fantastic day, you know, a very condensed weekend. We were a bit nervous after getting just one practice in, and we were a little unsure of our performance after that. But, you know, it's a team effort. Martin did a great job at the beginning. The boys killed it in the pits, and we brought it home.
Congratulations, guys. Well done.
Yeah, Martin having that little bit of a moment with Brett Curtis and skated off track, gathered it up, didn't let that red mist affect him too much, and got back into the groove.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, it's funny how things turn around, though. Maybe that moment changed their day, because without that penalty, the 43 real-time car could have been very much a factor for that win.
That's a very good point as we take a look at some of the highlights here from the start. Some of the onboard moments, again, was just a superb run. Here's exactly the moment we were just talking about. Barkey ending up just sort of spearing off track, but reined it in. Didn't do anything too drastic until he got it slowed down.
Tough part of the racetrack. If you're on the right side, you have to give that lane up. He did. And then we see Rodrigo making a very rare mistake on the entry to Oak Tree, tearing up the left front corner on that Bentley. So slow and just nothing you can do. You're just at the wrong trajectory and you're going to hit the wall.
And then for Hargrove, a little bit of a wobble right there.
He loses the rear end.
Yep.
He just runs wide. There's just no recovery. You just don't care who's behind the wheel. You're not going to save it.
Yeah, just impossible to do that. That precipitated the late caution on the restart. You watch here as Vilander, the red Ferrari, gets trapped out wide, and there goes Marcelli.
He just gets out wide. There's maybe a little bit of marbles out there, but ultimately Soucek grabs the win.
An elated K-Pax crew celebrating, as did Andy Soucek as he climbed out in the victory circle area. So the podiums are underway, and again, with that late penalty, post-race penalty to the Ferrari. It's a nice ride there. Ryan Dial and David Askew come through and earn a nice third place. Second place, Ryan Eversley and Till Bechtelsheimer. Boy, Till was impressive.
Yeah, some great performances there today. Ryan did a really nice job too in cleaning up and bringing it home.
And then your winners.
Because they want the photogs too.
They did a phenomenal job. What a start to the season for Racer's Edge, stepping up into the GT3 ranks. And, you know, John Maraghi said, we felt we deserved to be here. We should be here, and they're sure acting like they've been there for years, haven't they?
Yes. And I think the cool thing about tonight, there's going to be a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas going on. So everyone's going to be fired up for tomorrow, just saying if we execute a little bit better and if we eliminate this mistake or this happens a little bit differently, we're in with a shout. A lot of really keen competitors have the pace, it seems, to grab some podiums and wins tomorrow.
Well, there's some key players that had awfully bad, long pit stops, and that's step one to address that. So that wraps up our coverage here of the third round of the Blancpain GT World Challenge America Championship at Virginia International Raceway, presented by Henry Repeating Arms. Thanks so much for joining us. A lot more to come. Don't go too far away. VIR is staying busy.